if you hurt yourself in this career, what are you going to do?
Today's guest is a technician who rebuilt his entire life through grit, recovery, and the love for turning wrenches. After breaking his back at 17 and losing hearing in one ear, which we just had a discussion about, he still found his way into automotive and worked his way up the hard way. He left the dealership world twice. He went back to school. He bartended. He fixed cars in his garage. And somehow along the way accidentally built a social media following that turned him into a very highly watched YouTube creator. When his old mentor called him up and said, "Hey, we want to open a Toyota Lexus specialty shop," he jumped in. He became a lead tech and an ASC master. Now, with a growing platform and working in a busy shop in Texas. This is Chris, this is TxToolGuy, and this is the Wrench Turners podcast. Let's get into it. Chris, thank you very much for taking the time and spending it with us today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I think it's going to be great.
It is. It is. So we were talking a little bit before, but my audience and me too, we don't know you very well. You gave me a 2-page synopsis of your life from about 17.
Yeah,
But I think if I
have
were
it pulled
to
up here.
let's get into the little tidbits. Let's start where we usually start. What got you into automotive? And then we'll get to the story of all of the stuff that you've been through in your life since then.
Mainly when I was a kid, my dad had Mustangs, and he had like a 1970 Mustang convertible with a 289, and we put a 351 Windsor racing motor in it. And he's got pictures of me as like 3-4 years old climbing through the seats and all that. And so I've always like tinkered with things. And then I got my Jeep when I was 15, and I just wanted to. I mean, my birthday's in the summer, so we found a deal, and they're like, "Well, you'll turn 16 soon." So I got that, and yeah, man, I took driver's ed at 15, and everyone got their permit. I'm just sitting there like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I wanted to modify my Jeep. I wanted a lift kit. I wanted all these lights. I wanted all the, you know, Jeep shit. And
Mm-hmm.
then my dad was like, no, like, you can't have a lift. You can't have this. So I was like, well, I can't. I'm a broke high school kid. What am I going to do? I can't pay for somebody to do it. So I saved up a bunch of money, bought a lift kit, and then I figured out how to put it on in my driveway. And that
Awesome.
just kind of spiraled.
So take me through that. So what was the very first thing that you ever took apart that made you think, I want to understand how it works, not just be able to take things apart and put them back together?
I did like remote control cars and Xboxes and stuff as a kid. Like, I got the red ring of death on my Xbox, and I was like devastated. So I took it apart, figured out how to fix it, and then I like modded the hard drive too. And it was just like a whole rabbit hole. I just kept modifying stuff, taking stuff apart. I mean, eventually it crapped out again, but
As they did.
yeah,
As they did.
there were times where I would like take a little model car apart, and I would just sit there. I'm like, I don't know how to put this back together. But that progressed into like, let me try to put it back together. I was like 5, 6, 7 years old doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of anything I could get my hands on, I'd want to take it apart. Big gun guy. We're here in Texas. From a young age, I was taught how to clean a gun, take it apart. That helped. So you can take the
Mm-hmm.
firing pin out, take the slides out, take all that stuff out. And then they just progressed into cars.
No, nice. Can you describe a moment where cars stopped being just a hobby and started becoming more of like an identity? Because you're doing a lot and you're doing a lot of modifications, you're doing a lot of those things along the way. When did it become kind of the thing that you wrapped yourself in?
Shortly after high school, like you mentioned in the intro, I broke my back when I was 17, and everything I wanted to do basically was thrown out the window. I wanted to go in the military. My grandpa was a Pearl Harbor survivor, so I wanted to go in the Navy like he was. That went out the window. I played drums since I was 9, and I made it to Texas State drumline. So New Braunfels, San Marcos, Texas, Texas State University. I made it on their drumline, but I got disqualified when I broke my back because I had to have surgery. So literally, like
Mm-hmm.
everything I had lined up just out the window.
Out the window.
And so after I had surgery and I was recovering, it's actually really funny. My mom thought I was depressed.
I don't know how breaking your back can ever be funny in a way, but my
Well,
goodness.
so my parents ended up owning 2 bars and restaurants. I grew up in a town called Canyon Lake, which is right outside New Braunfels, and it was on the water. Had a barbecue restaurant. I wanted to learn how to like smoke meats.
Mhm.
It's a big Texas thing. We're big smoked meat area. Well, so after surgery, I got 2 rods, 4 screws in my lower back, and my recovery was basically just walking. So I had a little walker and all this. So I would just go sit on the back porch, and I would sit in my walker and just learn how to like smoke hams, smoke briskets. But the funny part is I would also be on like pain medication and listening to like Pink Floyd, just lounging out on the back porch for like 14 hours.
Well, that's a great way to pass the time when you're trying to pass 14 hours to smoke a brisket.
Well, yeah. And then
So, how did that evolve? Because you've gone from, getting a job so that you could save some money so that you could fix, modify, and lift your Jeep to breaking your back to smoking meat. So how did you and doing I'm assuming there's bartending in there somewhere because you
bartending
mentioned that
came
you
later.
bartended and your parents had two.
So they're a bar and grill, so I worked in the kitchen, which is how like I ended up learning how to cook pretty well. And I had an interest. I like the Food Network and make like creme brulee and stuff from scratch and whatnot, just like in my spare time. But I couldn't do any of the car stuff after surgery, and I just graduated high school. My parents gave me the whole, you can get a job or you can go to school. I'm like, well, I can't walk, so I guess I'm going to college. And I wasn't allowed to drive my Jeep for I think it was like 3 months, 3, 4 months, because it was a manual transmission. There's some doctor who makes a lot more money than me who said you can drive an automatic but not a manual after surgery. I don't know why, but I wasn't allowed to drive. And so I wanted to do a bunch of Jeep stuff, but I couldn't. And
Mhm.
I had parts and I couldn't install them because I was like sitting in a walker in my driveway. I put some headlight bezels on. That was cool. And so I did what I could. And I was working in their restaurants and I was going to school. My first semester, I did great. All A's. I couldn't do anything. So I literally went to class and went home. I had a little handicap pass. So I'd park right in front of class. As soon as that ended, I got released. Doctor said you can work out again, you can full active, you don't need to wear your back brace. I went nuts. I did the whole freshman year party. I was like, let me take my Jeep to there's this place called Hidden Falls Adventure Parks, an off-road park about hour and a half away from me. I was like, let's go to Hidden Falls every other weekend. Let's go break the Jeep, and then I'd have to learn how to fix it in my driveway again. And I just went all in on that. So I went from just not being able to do everything to everything all at once.
Which is a recipe for burnout.
It was not great. I mean, looking back, it was a lot of fun, but
It was a
in
lot of fun
hindsight,
and you learned a lot. And it's difficult for some folks who get into that burnout kind of saga because sometimes that burnout is just all kinds of stress, anxiety, extra work, and stuff that you don't necessarily want to do. You can get burned out when you're doing stuff that you do like to do, and that's a challenge in and of itself. So you got to take care of yourself. So one of those interesting things. So once you got into the Jeep, you got back into being able to do the things that you want with the Jeep and party and everything else like that. Where does the dealership come into play? Like
coming up.
we're this has got to have been a short period of time.
Yeah, so this was from high school to this time is only about 2 years. First, semester of college, second semester is when I go, buck wild. Then start of my sophomore year, I was like, I need to get my shit together and do better. And then the second semester of my sophomore year is when I was like, man, I'm skipping class like all the time to work on my Jeep. I'm trying to work on my friends' cars. My friend had a Chevy 1500 or 2500 with like a 3500 chassis. It was all Frankenstein and he had headers and I'm like, let's try to do spark plugs. That was a nightmare. And
Mhm.
so we were doing all that instead of going to class. And that's when I decided that I was going to drop out of college. It's like April of 2015. And I was like, this ain't it. I'm miserable. I was an accounting major. All right. Well, I was undecided and I chose accounting. So that's what my dad did. And it was just absolutely terrible. And so I quit school. I had a job lined up at a I thought it was like a chain dealership, but apparently it's just like there was one in San Antonio and there's one in my town, and that was it. And they kicked me around for like a month. And then so I just started applying to every dealership. And there was a guy at Toyota I knew from the Jeep world at going off road, and he got me the job. So I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave college. I'm going to go work at a dealership. Started on the lube rack. I thought I was hot shit. I thought I knew all this stuff because I put a lift kit on my Jeep in the driveway. Wow. I knew not at all as much as I thought.
What was the moment? So, because you say you're effectively saying you got humbled at Toyota after being there for a short period of time. What would you say the moment was, or the thing, or the job, or the repair that made you realize you didn't know as much as you thought you did going into that?
That one probably, I had moved from lube rack to apprentice. And I was like, I got to bring my toolbox up there, and I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Give me this. And it was some electrical diag, and they're like, oh, it's simple. And I looked at it, and I was just like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. I was like, I've wired lights on my Jeep before, but that's really easy. You have a power, a ground, and a signal, and they give you a big diagram, and they give you literally like red here, black here.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like automotive wire.
It
And
is and it isn't. It is kind of that
oh,
simple on some of the older stuff. 25 years ago, 20 years ago, a lot of stuff was still effectively that simple. And the wires might have been smaller and slightly different color, and they might have been braided together, so to speak. 25 years ago, that's about as simple as it was. Now, last 10 years, not so much.
and
We
I
have
think it was a
completely different.
I think it was a blower motor, but I'm pretty sure it's a blower motor because the Tacomas have a TSB, and they change the connector and the resistor, so you have to rewire the connector, but the colors and pins don't match.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Now, are you sure you're not color deficient? Because I'm color deficient. I always had to have my bay mates double check the wiring colors for me.
I make the joke that, all I see is gray, but that's not true. Losing hearing, all my other senses are pretty good. I can smell really well. I can see really well. I have really good vision. Just can't hear what's.
Okay. Awesome. So you got humbled by electrical diag. So once you've been doing okay, so humbled, okay, now I got to learn some more, start doing some training and things like that. When flat rate hit you, what did that first week as flat rate in a Toyota dealership do to you? What clicked? What didn't? What? Tell us about that experience.
Well, what didn't click was being flat rate and not knowing it.
Mm.
My service manager at the time, so we did this whole thing, and looking back, like, it didn't work. You basically go put your name on the board and hope you get a ticket. And that was the dispatch system. You just like start at the top, write your name, and then if you get a ticket, you erase your name, put it back on the bottom. They still use paper ROs up until the second time I worked there.
Okay, that's a
Yeah, no.
challenge. There's a couple of challenges there that I see that there's some folks are going to be going, what?
I also
Too, but
worked under two different owners, so that the old owner was stuck in his ways, old man, and he eventually sold it out from under his son. That's a whole nother cluster. But I I was just sitting there, and I was apprenticing, I thought. And so I would basically just wait till the foreman said, "Hey, get with so and so or do this ticket." Like, I did a lot of heat cases. Basically, the
Mhm.
customer's pissed off. They can't flag the tech because the tech refuses to do it without getting paid. And so that's where I came in. That's where, hey, Silo, but sorry. Hey, what are you doing? Daddy's working right now. Can you go? Or are you just gonna hang out right there? Okay. He's gonna hang out right there. But
That's all good.
the service manager came up to me and was like, "Well, what are you doing?" I was like, "I'm just waiting for, JD was his name. I was like, waiting for JD to give me a ticket." He's like, "Well, you're flat rate." I was like, "Well, since when?" He was like, "Oh, this morning." And it was like 11 a.m. Like, oh, I was like, "That's fantastic." And so I was just like, "Oh, I'm already behind." And my first flat rate paycheck, the shop foreman kind of fed me. Like, I didn't think
Is that
about
what
it.
Fred?
No, Fred wasn't the foreman yet.
Okay.
He does end up being the foreman there. He started working at this dealership. Say hi real quick? And then you gotta go hang out with mommy, okay? You can say hi, bud.
How you doing, little man?
Hey, bud.
How you doing?
He's 3.5, so he's does what he wants.
Yep, been there. Mine's 12 now, so been there.
I have
Been there.
another one. I have one that's 1.5. He's asleep, luckily, but yeah, no, he's 3 going on 15.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, it's
All right,
rough.
take us to back. So Fred wasn't the foreman at the shop, and you made a lot of comments about how Fred helped you along the way, especially at Toyota. What's perhaps maybe the biggest lesson Fred taught you while at the Toyota store?
So one of them, this one's funny. He taught me not to be late, which sounds, elementary, but I was a young kid. I was 22 at the time, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm here by 8 o'clock. I'm not late." As I'm opening my toolbox, eating breakfast tacos, bullshitting with my friends, or it's only 8:05. Oh, it's only 8:03. Fred's
Mm-hmm.
the type to be there. 7:45 is when you get to work, and man,
Mm-hmm.
he would just lay into me, and I would get pissed off. I'd be like, "Man, why are you always on me?" Not
Mm-hmm.
realizing that being on time is not that hard. As a 22, 23-year-old kid, it was difficult, but he kinda taught me, like, you gotta be early, like, if you wanna make money, you gotta get to the shop early because you have customers getting there early, you have waiters, you have this little bullshit name on the board. The sooner you get your name
Mm-hmm.
on the board, sooner you get a ticket. Granted, if you couldn't do the ticket, it skipped you, like, if there's a recall or warranty work, you had to be certified. And on that note, like, when I do recalls or I would do anything that was out of my wheelhouse, I guess, I would ask him for help, and he was like, "Well, did you read the repair manual?" I was like, "Well, no." He's like, "Well, check TIS." So TIS, I'm gonna refer to that a lot. That's the Toyota Information System. It's just their repair
Mm-hmm.
manual and diagnostic stuff, and it's very mundane. It's very like technical. You need to do this. You need to remove 7 things to access an alternator when you don't. So I don't like using it. Like, even to this day, I only use it for, like, torque specs, and he would always say, "Well, did you look it up on TIS? Did you do this? Did you do that?" And I was like, "Well, no, that." JD was the foreman at the time, Fred was just the team leader, and I was like, "He told me to come to you for help." He was like, "Well, do some shit on your own first." And at the time, that would make me annoyed. I was like, "Man, this guy don't wanna even help us at all." But now after I've had an apprentice, I'm like, all you gotta do is use your brain. Like, literally just think a little.
It's amazing. And so I've said this on countless episodes. I've said this as a guest on shows. We, as humans, do not fully develop our brains until at least 25. It is scientific, biological fact we do not fully develop our brains until at least around 25. So, as a young man under the age of 25, everything that is boring is stupid.
Yeah.
It is useless. I don't need it. I don't want it. I can figure it out, whatever. The challenge is they're that 18 to 25-year-old time, they're going, look up TIS, look up the SOP, look it up. Have you done this? Have you done this? They're not helping you. They are in fact helping you because when they've said it the 1,000th time, have you looked up TIS? You're gonna go, oh God, he's just gonna ask me if I looked up a TIS. Oh, let me go look up a TIS. And then there's the habit that you need to form because now you've looked it up. That is the first bloody step that we need to take in order to fix something. And we need to do it. And we need to do it every single time. And then guess what happens? You read TIS, and 99% of the time, the answer is there if you read it. You have to slog through some
It's
of the
usually in
mundane,
plain sight.
monotonous. It's usually in plain sight. But sometimes you have to read the whole thing to read and figure, oh, that's what I need right there. But on that 1% of time, where you've read TIS and you then check the TSBs and you check this and you've checked that. It's like I've done this and this and hey Fred, I've done this and I've checked this and then I can't find it. Oh, okay, that happens 1 in 1,000. I've fixed it before. These are the things that you need to do. Because you already have just given him all of the answers he needs to be able to go, okay, you've checked this and it's not this, and you checked this and it's not that, and you've checked this and it's not that, and you've checked this, which means that more than likely it's the one time that I've done the one thing that did this. That's where the experience comes from the shop foreman, right? He's the guy that's fixed the one thing in the 1,000th time, right? That's the help that he's actually being used for. Awesome. Please, folks, please, If you are under the age of 25, heed Chris's advice. Listen to your shop foreman and go read Tiz. Please, go read Tiz. So to that point, so I'm assuming he did this thousands of times over a short and or long period of time. At one point, for some reason at the shop, and we don't need to go into the gory details, you left, and then you went back.
The leaving wasn't because of Fred not helping me. So I'll just put that. We got over that.
Clarify.
We got over that real
Yeah.
quick. I worked, and this was, like I said, this was 2016-ish at the time. Making $15 an hour on the main line. Just left apprenticeship because I was 15 an hour hourly, and all they did was switch me to flat rate. I didn't even get like $1. But I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, whatever. I was like, I thought I was making money because my first paycheck was like 110 hours, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I got like a 70-hour paycheck. I was like, this sucks. And
Mm-hmm.
well, decided everyone said get certified. That's how you make more money. Okay. So I signed up for A4. It's like suspension, steering. Looking back now, everyone said that's the easiest ASE, and it is. But I was like, let me go get that. I know suspension really well. That was the one thing I did know well, and I went and got that, passed it, and then they're like, cool, we're gonna send you to Toyota school, which is like basically just training. And so our region's Gulf State region, so we go to Houston, to the Gulf State
Mm-hmm.
headquarters, and do training like hands-on. So I got
Mm-hmm.
certified across the board in drivetrain, electrical, chassis. There's one other one. I forgot
Mm-hmm.
what the other one was. Maybe drivetrain, engine. You can see it's been a long day.
Yes.
And I put an engine in today too, so that's ironic. So I got it certified across the board, and I got an ASE. So I was like, that's worth at least like $3 in my opinion. And at this point,
Mm-hmm.
I had been on the line for 2 years, so I had going on 3.5 total at the dealer. I was like, okay, let me get a raise. Like I think it's due for a raise. So I asked for $3, and the service manager was like, "Can you wait 6 more months?" I was like, "Man, I've already been waiting like 2 years." And I got raises from Lubrac to apprentice and all that, but still, I'm just like, man, I feel like I need to make more money because I got certified. Everyone told me to get certified, and then I didn't make any more money. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
this circle of like, do this, get this, but you don't actually get this, so do more, and then you get nothing. And I thought for the longest time it was the owner. That's what we were told. The owner said no, and all this. Come to find out, like a few years later, like right before I went back the second time, the service manager wasn't taking it from his desk to the owner. And so we were
Mm-hmm.
just like, all of us are getting screwed. I know a guy who worked there for 14 years, and he was Toyota expert certified, and he had like four ASEs, 5 ASEs. He was only making 22 an hour. Or he was making 20. They asked for 22. Yeah. They were lowballing the shit out of everyone. The foreman at the time got fired. He's kind of a hothead. Like he yelled at a service advisor and like made him cry, made another dude cry. It's pretty rowdy. He made a tech cry, and he's really nice to me, but he's an ex like Army Ranger, and like I'm pretty sure he did a bunch of steroids, and he would just get like super hot headed. They like escorted him out of the dealership.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
toxic dealership, like for sure. And that's when Fred ended up becoming foreman of that dealership, not by
Mm-hmm.
choice. He was like, he was foreman in Austin for like 15 years, and he's like, no, I just want to be a tech here. And they're like, sorry about that, you're not. And he was the
Okay.
one who told me to do all this stuff, so I did. And he was like, all right, I put my raise into him. He's like, let me go take it to his name's Chuck, was the service manager. Like, let me take it to Chuck. He took it to Chuck. Chuck called me in. I explained my case, and then I waited. After about a month, I was like, so how's it going? Like, we've had 2 pay periods. When am I going to get it? And they're like, oh, it hasn't been approved yet. And then that's when they're like, can you wait 6 more months? And I'm like, no, fuck that. I can't. I've been here this long, and I deserve more. And then I talked to my dad. I was like, Dad, what do I do? He was like, well, quit. I'm like, well, no, I don't want to quit. Like, I like working on cars, I thought. And then the problem was I wasn't making money at that point. So the highway, it had an overpass to get to the dealer. They had a bright idea to knock that out and make it an underpass. But that closed the front of the dealership, like the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a back way, but no customer knew the back way. So our business was cut by 50%. So nobody was making hours. I'm still making 15 bucks an hour at like 50, 60-hour paychecks. And I was like, and that's when I took up working in a bar. I started out working the door. I was like, hey, I've bartended here and there in the past. Like, let me start bartending. So I was doing dealership Monday through Friday, every other Saturday, pretty standard, 8 to 5. And then I was working in a bar 4 nights a week on the weekends mainly, but like a couple nights here and there during the weeks of, 16, 18-hour days, 4 days a week, trying to just, make the single paycheck that the dealership should have given me. And that's when I was like, I gotta figure it out. I didn't have a fallback plan. And my dad's like, well, you went to college once. He's like, you did well. I was like, well, I guess that's my fallback plan. Just go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a while. It took a few months of consideration. I asked again about my raise, and it was still the same old, you know, go around in
Keep
a
waiting.
circle. Can you wait? Can you do this? And I was like, you know what? It's time. So I put my notice in, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even do 2 weeks. I gave him two
Mm.
weeks, but we were slow, and so there was this other guy at the dealer. He was super cool dude, and he happened to have his trailer that day. He was like, "You're an independent contractor. Why don't you just load your shit up? I'll take it to your house for you. I won't even charge you." I was like, "All right," and we loaded the box up, left July 31st, 2019. I know, 'cause that's the day I met my wife.
Awesome.
Literally
Awesome day.
brought my toolbox home, hung out with my wife, and we were just hanging out, and it was late at night. I had just gotten off work at the bar, and she was just like, "Well, you have to work tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I gotta be up early." And then I like paused. I'm like, "I am unemployed." And she like looked at me. She's like, "What?" I was like, "No, I quit my job today. I
Today.
brought my toolbox home." I was like, it just slipped my mind. And then
It's been a day.
I got on a plane that morning and went to Seattle for a week. I just left. Well, the trip was somewhat planned with a friend of mine. He was like, "You want to go?" I said, "Sure. I don't got a job." And I just hopped
Mm-hmm.
on a plane and went, and I was just kind of figuring it out as I went. I re-enrolled in Texas State. I didn't have a major. I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I was gonna go back to school was my fallback. And I ultimately chose exercise, sports science, and physical therapy because I did physical therapy with my back.
Mm-hmm.
I power lifted in high school, and I did a little bit in college. So I was like, let me just do this. Like I know this. It's kind of like cars. Like I know this, so let me just do it. And I did that, and I bartended, and I just said, when you're bartending, you're making cash. Like you make 213 an hour, but you're making tips. So my paychecks were actually like, 30 cents
Mm-hmm.
because you get cash tips every night. So in my head, I was like, well, I'm making so much more money than the dealer because I'm getting cash money every night. And then to me, when you have cash, I feel like I have more money because I'm less likely to spend it because I could see it. You have a
Mm-hmm.
card, you just swipe your card and then you're done. And so I thought, this is the life. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bartend. I'm going to graduate school. Everything's going to be great. Wrong. It just
COVID.
was not like that. COVID happened. Lost my job bartending because all the bars shut down.
Mm-hmm.
It's furloughed and I needed a job. I was like, what am I going to do? Going back to school, I was 25, 24, 25. Going back to school at that age, one of my professors, I was closer in age to her than my classmates. And we were like 2 years apart. And so, like, it was kind of awkward. 'Cause I got, like, these 18, 19-year-old kids who are just there, their parents are paying school and all this. I was like, "Man, I got rent, I got utilities, I have a car payment, like, I've life bills, like, I can't afford to not work."
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of not what I expected. And I tried to have a little more fun than I had the first time. I was like, I went back to school, different experience, but it just when I was bartending, I was like, this started getting old 'cause staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning cleaning up a bar with a bunch of drunk people started to get old. And so COVID happened, we all lost our jobs, and I was working on people's cars already. So while I was bartending in school, people would like hit curbs and they don't want to tell their parents. So I'd be like, all right, bring it to the house, leave it in the driveway, I'll order parts, and I just started fixing people's cars on the side. Whatever. I was like, oh, at first it was like, let me help my buddy out. Then it was like, well, can you help this dude? Okay, well, I'm gonna charge him. well, I'm gonna charge this guy too, and it just turned into a little side gig. I bought a motorcycle and I wanted to like slam it and stretch it, and I started just messing with that over winter, and it just progressed
Because that
into
led to a couple of things, right? Because one of the Ford dealers offered you a job when you were buying parts to fix that stuff, right? What
yeah.
moment did that represent in your journey to where you are now?
So that came up. So that was post COVID. Tried. I hung TVs for Best Buy and Geek Squad. I did like home theater installs. That was cool. It was actually really chill, and I was like, I'm using tools again. I'm doing something hands on. I liked it. Well, that was seasonal. So after that, I'm like, I need to find another job. So I went back to working on cars, like on the side, just for friends and stuff. Well, then my wife had a fucking shit bot, an Ford Explorer, two-door V6 four-wheel drive that like four-wheel drive didn't work. It was total. It had like 200,000 miles on it. And we would drive this thing to and from Houston, which is like 3 hours from where we're at, because that's where she's from. And I don't even know how. Looking back, I don't know how we made it. And I mean, we had the big freeze in Texas. We call it snowvid. Like it snowed like 8 inches. This is more than my area ever gets. I have a 2000 Camry that I daily drive. That wasn't making it out of the driveway. So I put her Explorer in four-wheel drive and I like just give it some gas and it just starts burning out. I'm like, what? And then I get all these lights and then it's stuck like half. It's old school, so it's not like the mechanical ones now where it just won't shift. It's like stuck halfway. And I'm like, man, what the fuck? And so I basically get a scan tool and just take it out of four-wheel drive and I unplug it. I was like, don't ever touch that again. And then next thing I know, she needs a coolant temp sensor. So it's a V6 Ford Explorer, like those old school ones. They have that thermostat housing that's like upper and lower, and it has two sensors, but it's like buried. Well, the sensor went bad, so I went to Ford and I was like, hey, I need this part, this part, this part, coolant, blah blah blah. And the guy's just like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm replacing a sensor, but I need a housing, and I need all this stuff like on my wife's vehicle. Like, can I buy the parts, please? And he's like, you're doing that in your driveway? I was like, oh, unfortunately. And then he was like, do you want a job? I said, no, absolutely not. I was like, I do not want to work at Ford and I do not want to work on cars, even though that's what I was doing. I ended up knowing one of the lube techs there. He worked on the lube rack with me at Toyota. And he was like, "Oh, hey, bro, like, how's it going? How you been?" I'm like, "Oh, hey, you know the bullshit. Like, I haven't seen you
hmm
in 3 years, so we're gonna pretend like we want to have a conversation." And then he's like, "You should work here." And I said, "I should not." And so he brought the service manager out without telling me. And so the service manager starts talking to me. He was like, hey, this guy says you're legit. What's up? I'm like, well, I'm in school. So I have no interest in being a mechanic anymore. He's like, okay, well, what's your experience? I was like, 5 years at Toyota. I have a 1 ASE at the time, Toyota certified, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, we could really use you. I was like, no. And so I made the most ridiculous requests. So they paid me $2 more than Toyota, 3 days a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because I had Monday, Wednesday classes, but I said, I want Tuesdays for me. Then I said, it's February now. I'm going to Colorado for spring break, so I'm going to move my toolbox up here on y'all's dime, and I'm going to start when I get back from Colorado. And they said yes to everything. And I was like, I was not expecting that. And so I told my wife,
Okay.
she was like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I kind of have to take it now. Like, I was like, I kind of just demanded all this stuff, and I was like, I kind of have to take it. And so what they did is they put me in the lube rack because I was part time. But then they're like, any ticket. So their dispatch was even more weird than Toyota. Every ticket went through the lube rack, and then I don't know what dealership did you work at, or what chain, or
I've worked at CDGR. I've worked at Toyota. Worked at Mercedes Benz. I've done independent. I've done
so how domestic
forklifts. I've done
it
a little
is
bit of everything.
is like you have a front end guy, you have an engine guy, you have an electrical, you have a transmission guy. Like Toyota, every
At
tech does
larger
everything.
stores, yes, but up here in Canada, most of the stores are 10 guys or less, so everybody does everything. The only exception to that, for the most part, is you've got somebody who's got super specialty in diagnostics, usually the most experienced guy in the shop, and you've got some grouchy, ornery guy doing transmissions.
Yeah, so
Pretty much
Toyota was
every brand.
yeah, Toyota was everybody does everything, but the Ford I worked at was the everybody had a job. So every ticket went to the lube rack. And so if there was basically the lube tech looks at it, they're like, oh, it has an oil change, oil rotate, a fluid
Mm-hmm.
service. They would knock it out and then they would take it to the corresponding tech after. It was bizarre. Anybody could do a recall apparently because there was enough collective certs in the shop. I didn't really understand what that meant, but the service manager said, no, 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 no. So and so's watching over the repairs so they can do recalls. So there's lube techs doing airbag recalls. Yeah. So they put me out there. They're like, look through the tickets, do whatever ticket you want, just keep an eye on those guys. I was like, man, so you're basically hiring me as a babysitter. And I watched this chick. She was taking a dash out to do an airbag recall on a Fusion. So here's the dash, right? Screws come like that. There's like
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 of them. It's annoying. You got to take the front doors off. Dumb. Well, she gets it out, puts a new airbag in, puts it back in, and I was like, "Did you scan the barcode?" She's like, "What?" I was like, "Man." She's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "You have to scan the barcode of the new airbag. Like, you have to register and do all this." She was like, "Well, where's the barcode?"
It's on the back side of the airbag,
And it's on the side that
which you
goes
can't
up.
see anymore.
And I was like, "You
Yeah.
gotta pull that dash back out." And she's like, "Do I really?" I was like, "I'm gonna go to lunch. You figure it out."
Oh my.
Yeah, and
Okay,
so
so this is Ford. So Ford, the Toyota store wasn't great. Got you experience, got you certifications, supported yourself, supported your growing ambition. Then it became a challenge, going back to school because COVID, because of everything else. Went to bartending as well as going back to school to be able to pay bills. Started doing work on the side, fixing cars on the side because you like fixing cars. Walked into a Ford store trying to buy parts, ended up with a job at a Ford store because you were doing something outside of any realm of why are you doing this in your driveway. You're now at a place which has somewhat of a odd way to do dispatching. Where in there did your wife ask you to do an Instagram page? Or are we not there
so
yet?
we're not there yet.
That means there is still a truck ton in a very short period of time. So we're
Not
at Ford,
not so
and it only
much.
feels like Ford is like 3 years ago, right?
No, Ford was 21.
4 years ago.
2020,
Okay.
2021? 21. Yeah, because we shut
21.
down March of 20, all the
Mhm.
bars, and then I was just some bum-ass unemployed kid for, like, 6 months.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it was 21, but I went full-time so I was still going to school, and, this is shortly before I quit the school the second time. I have a semester in 1 class until I have a bachelor's degree, but we'll get to that. I went full time that summer in Ford because I was like, okay, school's out. I need to work. And they made me a heavy line gas tech. So just EcoBoost and 5-liter Coyotes, cam phasers, chains, guides, turbos, cab off every single day. And they're like, we'll give you $1. I'm like, oh, great. So I'm going full time. You're going to give me $1. I was like, whatever. I was like, I need the job. And
I want anybody listening who's in a leadership position to make sure that you don't do that to anybody because it's really demoralizing. It's super demoralizing to incredibly change what you're doing, do something that's obviously more challenging, obviously, something that is more niche, something that is desirable and valued. I'll give you $1 an hour. When you do the basic math, if you work the standard 8 hours a day, 5 days a week kind of thing for a year, that's $2,080. And we take tax on that, so it's never $2,000. So mindful of the context there. It's one thing to give somebody a bump of $1 when there are time circumstances, experience circumstances that sounds reasonable. But when you're changing the level of what somebody's doing, $1 is really demoralizing
it
and
was kind of an insult.
not helpful. Yeah, it's really not helpful, and it there are so many pieces that go into pay plans and how you pay people and how you deliver pay plans to people, how you deliver raises to people, the values, the amounts, the who's, the what's, the where's, the when's, the why's, the production and everything that goes in. Like, there's so much that should go into that both techs and leaders don't, for the most part, don't understand. And one of the challenges, let me be honest here for a second. You asked for a raise a while ago. We're going to go back a little bit in the conversation, so to speak. You asked for a raise a while ago, and you said it because you deserved it. I coach technicians, and I haven't in a bit because it's been a while since I coached any. But when I was coaching them, and the conversations I have with technicians who are in shop leadership positions, like shop foreman and so forth, the best technicians who make the most amount of money provide a detailed document of who, what, where, when, why, and all the reasons to get a raise. And because they've done their due diligence, they also provide the production value that goes into that data to say, hey, these are the things that I've done. These are the certifications that I've then done. These are the trainings that I've done. This is what I'm planning on doing in the next 12 months. This is what I produced last year. This is what I've produced this year to date. My efficiency, you can see that my efficiencies changed from this to this. I'm now doing this more advanced things. This is the marketplace value of this. This is what I'm making. This is what I'd like to make. So those are the kinds of things we go from I deserve, I feel, those guys are making it, to these are the things that I've done to help myself. These are the things that I've done to help the business. These are the things that I've done to grow. This is why I believe this is how much I am worth. When you have a group of individuals in a shop who only go, I feel I need to make this much money, not great. Also means that culture in that shop has fostered that kind of mentality, which isn't great either. So we're still yanking away at Ford.
Not for long.
Not for long. So what happened next? You left Ford. Is there a specific reason for leaving Ford beyond what we've already discussed?
So yeah, I went basically from 17 to 18 an hour to basically rebuild EcoBoost engines. And I was just bullshitting one of the guys, and he told me, he was like, yeah, I left an Austin dealer. So like where we're at, Austin and San Antonio is about 25, 30 minutes. Austin's about 45 an hour. But big cities, you're going to make more money. That's just a fact. And he left an Austin dealership to come down to our town. And I'm like, why? He was like, oh, they paid me like $34 an hour. And I'm like, you're younger than me, have a few years less experience, and you're making $34 an hour, and I'm making 18. And we were both heavy line gas techs, but he had Ford certifications, I guess. But I'm like, that still doesn't constitute 15-ish dollar difference. And so I got pissed off. Go figure. And I actually, that day, something else happened, and I went home at lunch, and I was like, I'm done with this place. Like, I'll come back tomorrow. Nothing happened. Like, the whole management, like, I just left at lunch, shut my toolbox. I didn't even act like, oh, just leave the hutch open. No, I shut my toolbox, locked it, and I left. Nothing. Not a phone call, not a, hey, where'd you go, when I came in the next day. Just kind of crazy. And so what you just talked about with the, I need more money because this, and this, instead of I learned that way. Basically, it was Fred who called me and said, hey, Chuck, that old service manager, he's like, he wants you to come back. He's like, we heard you're wrenching again. And I was like, well, he kind of fucked me over last time, so I don't know if I want to come back. So Fred and I had lunch. We talked about it. He was like, look, he wants you to come back. There's a new owner. Like, the dealership got bought out. We're busy again, blah, 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 all the things.
Mm-hmm.
There was a new shop built, so I was going to be in the new shop, which was cool because the new shop was actually really, really nice. And so I went and I was like, you know what? I was like, you tell Chuck, if he wants me back, he can call me and he can ask me. Sure as shit. That night, he called me. He's like, hey, would you be willing to come talk to me? I was like, I'll come tomorrow when I get off work. I was like, I knew where he lived because he lived in my hometown, like the lake town. I was like, I know you got a far drive. I was like, but if you wait till, 6 p.m., I'll come talk to you. He did. And that's where I learned how to make more money. I talked to him. I talked about why I left the first time. I talked about why I'm at 4, like basically how I got there. I was like, man, I'm going to school. I'll come back and wrench for you guys, but like I'm gonna pursue school, so I need Tuesdays off, Thursdays half day, and I fucking worked every Saturday, every week. But I told him, and I had to kind of like gauge it. It's like, all right, that kid's making 34 an hour. I was like, I don't think he deserves that, but I also wasn't confident enough to think that I deserved 34 an hour with, 5, 6 years experience, 25, 26 years old. So I told him I was making, hey, I'm making 20 bucks an hour at Ford. He's like, well, we'll give you 22. And I did that on purpose. You tell them you're making more and they'll offer you more than what you're making. And they did. And they honored it. I signed the paperwork. I was like, wow, 22 an hour as a college kid. I was like, can you move my toolbox tomorrow? And so I put my notice in at Ford, and this is where it takes another turn. The service
So
manager's
can
like,
we pause just for a second? That's a good tactic. But he answered with 22 within a second, which means you left money on the table.
oh, we got the money. Don't worry, we got the money.
We got more,
We did get
but we
more.
could have got more, and I don't think a little bit more would have been greedy. A little bit more probably would have been value-based, but I digress.
After
Just as
about,
a reminder that if they answer quick to your first up, you left money on the table.
and these are all the things you learn as a young man, and you're learning. And I think the confidence part came in with, I've quit Toyota once. I went to a Ford, like I worked at a different dealer. So when I came back to Toyota the second time, it was a different dealer, different owner, different shop. So you I got over the willing to leave. Like, I'll leave and I'll go find money somewhere else. And when you're confident enough to do that, like you said, there was more money on the table, but I didn't think about that at the time. But after about 6 months of being at Toyota, no, we got that money.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when
Mm-hmm.
I quit at Ford, the service manager said, okay, well, I accept. Don't tell anyone in the shop you quit. It's like, what? It's like, that's really odd. I was like, man, I was like, whatever. I was like, I don't fucking care. Like, so there was like 3 white dudes in the entire Ford dealership I worked at. And I'm talking like they were some pretty awesome Mexican dudes, but they spoke Spanish, so I don't speak Spanish. And they were bringing like a hot plate and like cook in the break room. And it was really awesome. They would share food with me. It was cool. But like I was always like, man, I don't really talk to these guys anyway because I can't, there's language barrier. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, whatever. Don't tell them I quit. Who cares? Well, the general manager of the dealership came out and he gave me this little Yeti cup that said Team Engine. He's like, man, I appreciate what you do. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, it's been fun, but it's coming to an end. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, tomorrow's my last day. He's like, since when? I was like, since 2 weeks ago. He's like, Carlos didn't tell you? He's like, no. I was like, that's strange. But it was also not my problem. I gave 2 weeks. I worked 2 weeks. Sorry,
There's
the
there's
service
some
manager didn't
weird
tell the
stuff
general
going on there.
manager.
So that's some weird stuff. So you got what you wanted going to Toyota. You're back at Toyota. You're in the new shop, new owners. Fred is the guy that stood out in the text that you sent me in the description of what what's going on in terms of specialty, in terms of stuff that he's teaching you. There's lots of tidbits in there from Fred, and now Fred is now who you're with, if I'm not mistaken, if I understand correctly. So you were at Toyota long enough for Fred and yourself to build a relationship where he's now opened his own specialty shop for Toyota and Lexus, and you're now working for him outside the dealership.
Correct. So, little backstory on that. The one last tidbit about Ford is they offered me 25 bucks an hour to stay, and I told them where was that money when I asked for a raise when I went full time. And I was this close. I was like, man, that's more than Toyota offered, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to work for this place. And so when I went back to Toyota, Fred was actually a service advisor. He had quit wrenching there because old dealership politics. He went elsewhere. He came back as a writer, and that's where it was like, hey man, how you been? Like there's a brewery I showed him that's like his favorite brewery now. So we'd hang out outside of work here and there. And I was just like, yeah, things have been good. I came back and I was like, why are you a writer? He's like, well, I left because, fuck this place, but the management changed. And I was like, I didn't want to wrench anymore. He thought. And so he was writing service and he was like, this sucks. I was like, yeah, being a service
Mm-hmm.
writer is not fun. And so I'm working mainline Toyota and used cars now. Flat rate, killing it, actually. It was busy. It was right after the used car boom. I was making like 120, 130, 140 hours a paycheck. And
Mm-hmm.
then he was telling me, he was like, "Well, dude, you're the only one on your team who's Toyota certified still." He's like, "Tell him you want more." So I walked in like 6 months in, I walked into the service manager. I was like, "All right, well, I want more money because Joe Blow over here doesn't do a damn thing, and he flags like 40 hours a paycheck." And I'm like, I'm making up the slack. I do all the recalls for the used car team because nobody's Toyota certified. So like you said, I went in there with a list. I
Mm-hmm.
hit 110 and 120 efficiency every paycheck. So I was like, I want more money. I think I got $3, yeah, it was $3 or $4. And then
Mm-hmm.
nobody wanted to work on non-Toyotas. So the general sales manager said $5 a flag hour extra for non-Toyotas. It's like, shit, I just came from Ford. Give me all the domestics. And so now I'm making 120 hours a paycheck of non-Toyotas with 10 to 20 hours of Toyota recalls and stuff. So I was like, I get the groove back, and I'm like, I'm making a killing now. Like, I'm killing it on flat rate. And then Fred ends up getting fired from the dealership because he asked questions. If you have a timing belt and it's a menu price, why is it three different quotes from three different advisors? It's not a
Well,
menu
menu
price.
price.
That's this guy wants to make a little more. This guy wants to help this customer so they come back. Like, it's not a menu price. And so he was like, if we're going to have menu items, can we get a new menu sheet and all be on the same page? They fired him later that day after the meeting. And, well, can't say we're all surprised here. And he said, he came to me. We met at the bar. Fun fact, the bar we go to is the oldest bar in Texas after Prohibition. Liquor license 001 is on the wall, and it's
That's
across
very
from our
cool.
shop.
That's very cool.
So we met up there, and he was like, this is my plan. I want to open a shop. I was like, oh, that's cool. He was like, you've been with me since the beginning. He's like, you apprentice. He was like, are you willing to leave? I was like, sure. Because I'm still in school. So I was like, sure, whatever. I have no ties to Toyota. Well, opening a shop does not happen overnight.
No.
Finding a building took almost 2 years. It was
Yep.
apparently very difficult. Nobody wants to have an auto shop. There's plenty of buildings for rent, no auto shops. So I'm finishing school, well, close to finishing. My wife graduates. She gets pregnant with our first son. 9 months go by. I mean, basically, while she's pregnant, I'm just rocking and rolling at the dealer, doing used cars and recalls. I got another ASE so I could get expert certified and just rocking. Well, school comes to an end because my professors don't want to let me miss an exam for the birth of my son. They're like, you could just try to make it up throughout the semester. I'm like, no. And I was offering to take the exam early. I was like, I'll study, I'll do it early. I was like, I'm not like these kids who want to party and miss it. And they're like some COVID bullshit. They're like, we're already hybrid. We can't do it for you. We got to do it for everyone. And I was like, this isn't worth it. Like, I looked at what I was making at the dealership versus what a 4-year bachelor's degree in that field was going to pay. It's like, this is a no-brainer. One of my professors asked me, they're like, what are you doing here? I was like, what do you
Mm.
mean? And that was where it all clicked. I had two professors do that. One was the one I told you about earlier. We were like 2 years apart. She just saw me in the hall. She's like, what are you doing now? I was like, oh, I'm back at the dealership. I'm working full time. My wife's pregnant. She's like, why are you in college then? I was like, I don't really know. I was like, I'm here. I've paid for it. Let me just finish. Then my chemistry professor, I fell asleep in his class, and it was a boring lecture. I made an A in chemistry at least, and I was in my uniform, and he's like, I know it's boring, but like, please stay awake. I was like, I'm sorry, I had a long day. He's like, what'd you do today? It's like, oh, I put a new long block in a Dodge Durango that they sold, and I resealed it, got it running, and then I rushed to class. He was like, why are you taking college chemistry if you could build engines? And I was like sitting there, and like, it was those big lecture halls. So like everyone's just staring at me, and I'm like, I don't know. And that was my answer. And I was like, I don't know. It's like, my degree says so. He was like, yeah, but why are you here at this university with a skilled trade? I was like, I don't really know. And after all those combined, I was like, it's time to go. And basically when they wouldn't let me miss an exam, this was after the chemistry professor, this is the next semester. It was early on. My son was born in February. It was early on, and I was like, I'm just gonna withdraw and get my money back. Like, I had plans to go back, but I was like, I need to take care of my family right now. We're about to have a newborn. I need to be able to work 5, 6 days a week, keep flagging the amount of hours I'm flagging. And so ended up getting another raise at Toyota because I was like, hey, I'm having a kid. I continue to produce. They gave it to me, and I was like, I quit school. I'm here full time, and that was that. That was crazy time. That was once the first kid came, everything changed, and that's when the Instagram started. So we're on maternity and paternity leave, whatever it is for dads. I don't know. I got a week. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sitting there, fucking off on my phone, watching YouTube, Instagram. My wife's like, well, why don't you do that? It's like, you watch them. Like, why don't you make one? I was like, oh, I don't know. It's not gonna do anything, right? So I made one, and the only reason I remember it is because it was the week my son was born. It was February of 2022, and I didn't really do anything with it. And then like I posted like once every week or two, and I was like, ah, whatever. And then something changed. There's a company I work with called Koken Tools, like Koken USA. They make some really, they're all made in Japan, really high quality stuff. And I had finally hit 1,000 followers, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
I had a personal Instagram back in the day with like my cars and Jeeps, so I knew somewhat of how to market. But I was like, this is kind of crazy. And they offered to be like an affiliate, and they're like, oh, we'll send you some stuff. You can make some reviews on it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it was 5,000 followers. Then it was 10,000. And then it was just like, wow, this is kind of working. And then I would stay late. So I never told the dealership I was doing this, which that's a no-no. I was not aware of that at the time, but that's a no-no. And I kept it all anonymous until the one post had a used car license plate with the dealership name.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know what the Apex Protect GPS systems are.
No.
It's that bullshit you plug into the OBD2 and you can track your car. It's like $900 add-on package at the dealer. It's just a little tracker. And this is right before Fred was ready. So I was already like, man, screw this place. Leaving the dealer life. We're going to go independent and it's going to be great. So I made a video and I was like, do you want to see how to install these trackers? Because they also cause draws.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it out and I chunked it across the shop. And they saw that and they threatened to sue me. It was crazy. They're like, "Oh yeah, because the owner of the big chain, it was Keating Auto Group. The owner of the dealership owns a portion of Apex Protect. That's why every vehicle gets it." Yeah. And I was just like, "Man, y'all always ask about these trackers." I'm like, "This is what you do with them. Throw them away." Well, the video was hit, but it just that was rough because I was like, "Oh shit, now I got to like get rid of my page," or I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get sued." Man, nothing happened. Like, Fred was ready. He finally found a building. He gave me a date, which was insane because I literally bought my first home, closed on my house, quit my job at Toyota the next day, and 2 weeks later was at a shop with 0 customers. He was like, and I was able to negotiate. I'm a salary tech now, and I won't disclose what it is, but he paid me worthwhile for my skill to come on, and I was like, all right, man, I'll trust you. I've trusted you this far. I'll take this chance. And I left, moved my box, and almost got sued by a dealership. And it was just a scare tactic. I took the video down and I never heard from them again. Go figure. But yeah, ever since then, the Instagram page has been taking off. Fred told me in my contract, he's like, you have 12 calendar months to become a master tech. He's like, that's part of your contract. You wrote it in there, made me sign it. And I was like, okay. I was like, deal. After running the page for a while and getting a little successful on it, I wanted to broaden it. I was like, okay, I thought I wasn't making money in this career because, I didn't get a raise in 2016. But now seeing that the more I learn, the more certs I get, you actually do make money at the right place. If you're not making money, if you're
I've
not
been saying it for 4 years in content, man. I've been saying it for 4 damn years. Get your training up and you will make more money. If you don't make more money because you got the extra certifications, go find a shop that'll pay you more money because you got the certifications.
And that's the thing is, after leaving and going to different dealerships, you can see that. You can be like, oh, yeah, I've worked here. They'll pay for it, so you won't. And it was like I said, like working at like 3 different shops. So you get that experience like, well, if you're not going to pay me, someone else will. And so Fred was like, look, he was like, I know ASE isn't everything, especially on, you've worked at Toyota, so you know ASE is big with Toyota, but ASEs don't really cover Toyota questions. But I learned so much in those, like I read all the Motor Rage books. I even read some Del Mar because Autotrans took me a few tries. Like, well, it's tough. But you learn a lot. Like there are simple things you learn. Like I watched guys struggle with lean codes. I'm like, did you check fuel pressure? Like, you probably have a bad fuel pump. Well, no, it's running lean. I'm like, well, it has too much air. Why? And sure enough, check fuel pressure and it's below spec. I mean, it's just, I struggled with that because I didn't know. I would always think, oh, lean has too much air. Where's the air leak? No, running lean can have not enough fuel to cause more air. And you learn all that in the books. You learn all the ratios. What is it, like 14.7 to 1 or 14.3 to 1 air fuel mixture? I don't know. I like turbo cars, so it's different.
14.7 is 14.7 is 14.7. Stoichiometric is there for a lot of good reasons now. If I understand correctly, there's some moderate changes being done to those things for math reasons, for efficiency sakes, and so on and so forth. But 14.7's been 14.7 for a very long time for a very good reason, but you're very right. At the end of the day, it's air, fuel, and spark. It doesn't, as long as it's a combustion engine, it's air, fuel, and spark. You could have too much air, or you could have too much air because you got too much air. You could have too much air because you don't have enough fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have too much air because you haven't got spark. And like at the end of the day, lean could be caused by things and rich could be caused by things, but thinking about it from the different angles, from all 3 angles, okay, in this circumstance, what is the current result? Is the catalytic converter boiling hot, way hotter than it's supposed to, or is it stone cold because you're not getting light off? Are you having a vibration outside of the normal because you've got a cylinder that's completely misfiring, but completely randomly, so it's not something that is in pattern? So now you're getting a whole dead cylinder's worth of air infrequently, and that's causing your lean. Like there's a whole host of things that can be done in there, but unless you have the training and the experience, you don't know where to even begin.
When
right?
The big thing with the fuel pump and lean is it'll affect both banks.
Yep.
I mean, a 4-cylinder that's different, but like on V6s, V8s, I see that stumbling and they're like, wow, it's bank 1 and bank 2. I'm like, well, what do they have in common? Fuel delivery. Unless, I mean, you get into like high pressure pumps on each side, that gets different. But like it's your basic, like once you learn that, and like, so here now I'm 30 years old now. I'm 11 years into the trade, and I have learned things over the last, so we work at Hill Country Yoda Works as our shop. I've been there 3 years this coming May, and I've learned more after reading the ASE books and working on these old dinosaur Toyotas than I did between Toyota and Ford altogether. And it's just the whole ASE thing, I didn't. So fun fact, I didn't get it my 12 calendar months. I took Autotrans 4 times. Autotrans I passed on the 4th try. It's hard. I failed by 6, failed by 4, failed by 2, aced it by 8 or 9 the 4th time because I made flashcards. So they help.
You gotta come up with a reason and a way that you can learn so that you know the stuff.
And Toyota doesn't let you open up transmissions. We never rebuilt them. We just send them back. You get a torque converter, you get a assembly. But I finally got it. Finally got them.
Nice.
And
nice.
Well, those ones I got a patch like for my backpack. I'm gonna make a little plaque out of it. And like running the Instagram page too, a lot of people are asking me things and like think I'm this master Toyota tech, which I can't officially say that because I never achieved master at the dealer, but I mean, I feel like I'm an ASE master, and pretty much any issue with a Toyota, I could tell you now. Like, common issues, obviously, I state I need to see the car to tell you 100%, but man, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have called myself a master at anything, and now it's just like, I've been doing it long enough, I've been seeing the same cars, same issues. You stay with one brand, like, I mean, I could do a 4.7 timing belt basically in my sleep.
Hmm.
I mean, if you can't do a 4.7 timing belt, though, you shouldn't work at Toyota. That's like well, actually, no. The 5VZ 3.4 timing belt is like the easiest timing belt in the world. There's like one pulley. There's the tensioner and the idler, and then that's it.
So we've definitely got
Non-VVTi, non-interference. Just like rip that shit out and like put a new belt on there.
exactly.
But like timing used to terrify me. Like
Timing
so
terrifies a lot of people because if you don't do it right, you're talking like 10, 20, 30, $40,000 motor, right? Depending on the circumstances or more,
you know how
right?
much a Tundra
Or
motor costs?
more.
A
They're like
5.7?
it's like 50 grand.
I think 30 was what they were going for. Dude,
Was a
when
50
we
grand
learned how to
installed or something
time
like
them,
that?
do what?
It's like 50 grand installed when you're doing them at the dealer.
No. It's like 30 grand. Like parts and labor, it was like 30 grand for a 5.7. The new twin turbos, they dropped the price because of the recall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Manufacturers somehow to control the prices. Now that they're paying for it, it's cheaper.
Yeah,
But
because they're basically paying it back to themselves, so to
yeah,
speak.
the
Basically charging themselves.
the
So
5.7,
there's been
when
a
we
lot
learned
of
to
lot of
time it,
stuff there. You've been through Toyota store, you've been through Ford store, you've been through college, you've been through bartending. Through somewhere in there, you started creating content around fixing stuff and tools and affiliate with Goken. And you're now working at a specialty shop, working on nothing but Toyotas all the time. So much so that after nearly 3 years, you feel like you're a master tech at it. So you've gone through some ups and downs, trials and tribulations in automotive. After all of that, what would you say your one piece of advice is to help a technician be happier, healthier, more productive?
um, well, a big one for me is your physical and your mental health. And I got a lot of shit for this at the dealer because I learned both sides. Like, I learned the health and fitness side, the exercise science side, but that's not just how you look. You got to take care of your mind, your body. You got to eat right. We're on our feet 14 hours a day. I hear so many of the old guys like this career will destroy your body. Oh, it'll eat you alive. Like, there's no money to be made. I'm like, well, you can make money. You got to go for it. You got to get your certs. You got to do more than like the one recall and the fluid flush you got. And a lot of those guys, no offense to them, are kind of bigger dudes. Like, they eat like shit. There's this one guy I worked with who would drink like 2 12 packs of Big Red a week, and Big Red's awful. And I'm just like, man, if you take care of your body, it will take care of you. So 11 years in, post back surgery, I invest in good shoes. So I have a pair of right now I'm wearing Brunt work boots. They're actually really comfortable. But you have to invest in that because you're on your feet all day and you don't want to have lower back pain. You don't want to have knee pain. You don't want to have pain at all, like in your arms. So I say exercise. And a lot of people look at me like, what are you trying to say? I was like, dude, parts are heavy. Like, big lifted trucks, tires are heavy. You're going to hurt yourself. And if you hurt yourself in this career, what are you going to do? If I break my wrist, it's not like I just type with one hand. No, I can't wrench without my right wrist. And that's a big thing that people overlook is you got to take care of your body. And going with that is you have to take care of your mind mentally. Like, after working at a couple dealerships, working every Saturday a month for like 2 years, man, you got to have time off. You got to take that time off. And like, it's scary when you're flat rate and you're like, man, you probably know from flat rate, your paid vacations, a percentage of what you make like $8 an hour. Like, it's not worth it. But the time off is worth it. Leaving, I probably honestly, with the way I was flagging hours and asking for money, I probably could have made more than my yearly salary is now at the dealer. But when do I hang out with my wife? When do I hang out with my kids? That dealer is 7 to 6, but if you want to make hours, you're working 7 to 7, 5, 6 days a week. I'm not doing that. I would rather do something I enjoy and do it well and get to spend time with my friends and family. And I'm doing the content, so well, that kind of helps having the following count that I have now, which I'm very grateful for. But it's just like you have to start with yourself. Get the knowledge, take care of yourself, eat right, do all that, and you will be successful in this career. Get your certifications. And I know you're big on that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, like even now, you have to learn. Like, what is it? L4 just came out. ADOS. ADOS is a pain in the ass, but it's a thing, and it's not going
Mm-hmm.
away.
Nope.
Unfortunately, I
Nope.
mean,
And it's only going to get more complicated. It's only going to get more complicated.
well, Toyota side's really like windshield calibrations are expensive, but they're super easy. You set your little target up, you push a button. But
Mm-hmm.
unless you have that certification or unless you have that machine or that equipment, you can't do it. And I want to get my L4. There's no one between San Antonio and Austin. I think 1,300 out of the 180,000 certified techs have it. No one between San Antonio and Austin that I know of. I think Josh might be trying to get it. I don't know if he already got it.
I don't know whether if Josh Allner has it yet or not. We haven't talked about ADAS.
But there's
We haven't
no one
talked about
else who has
ADAS in
it.
the
So
group
if I
chat
can do
yet.
that, even if I did side work out of my garage on ADOS, that's making a killing. The money's there.
There's lots of money to be made in this trade. You have to, and this is awesome. I appreciate that piece of advice. Take care of yourself, mind and body. We've been saying it for 4 years. It's the reason why this show exists in the first place. You got to take care of yourself physically and mentally every single day to make sure you're good, because this trade is hard. This trade is hard. And I think that's a great way to end the show there, to make sure that y'all are taking care of yourselves for
Clear
sure.
head. A clear head when
Clear
you're
head.
diagnosing a car, like coming into work with a
Whew.
clear head. Don't go out and drink and party. Drink and party on the weekends. I can tell you from doing it at the dealer, you come in hungover and you can't think straight. You make little errors, and it's like it hangs you up, and you'll be chasing like a red herring all day. And
Mhm.
just if you go in with a clear head, like, and there are sometimes even now, I can't figure a car out. I'm gonna go put it in the flat stall. I'm gonna leave it for an hour or two. I'm gonna go eat lunch, or I'm just gonna look at it in the morning. You got to come in with a clear head, and that starts with your physical and mental health.
I 888 breathing. You can go out for a smoke if you happen to smoke, though I wouldn't suggest it. It's better to go out and breathe. Go out and do the thing that you need to do to calm down. That's 100% great piece of advice. And I think, Chris, thank you very much for taking the time this evening. And I didn't want to take you away from your family and the little ones as long as we have. We've been on for a long time. So, Chris, thank you very, very much
Yeah,
for
thank you
taking
for
the
having
time this
me.
evening. If you want to shout out, make sure everybody knows how to find you, where to find you.
So you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I have a Facebook, but it doesn't really. I just started it, but it's a TxToolGuy, Texas Tool Guy, but the handle is TX. And then our shop is Hill Country Yoda Works. We're New Braunfels, Texas based. It's HC Yoda Works on all socials. So Toyota Lexus specialist. I mean, we do anything and everything. Unfortunately, I'm a Land Cruiser specialist now, not by choice. But
I'll make sure all the links to all the socials are in the description below, folks. So make sure to look down there and check out Hill Country Yoda Works and check out Chris, Texas Tool Guide. So thank you very much, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you subscribe to the show and hit that like button down below. Really appreciate you. And I'm going to end the show like we always do with a quote. And I think it's very poignant for today's and Chris's story, considering he's moved and grown his certifications, grown his training, and so on and so forth. And the quote goes, "Intelligence without ambition is a bird without wings," by Salvatore Dali. Remember, folks, negative pushes, positive pulls, and always clean your toys before you put them away.